Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing some upgrades to the lifted Jeep Cherokee just in time for summer. So if you don't remember the Jeep, I ended up practically getting it for free. And how I did this was one day I was surfing Facebook Marketplace. I do it a lot. I probably shouldn't be doing it. But this guy had this 6-liter diesel ambulance for $3,000. I was like, this is a good deal. People are doing a lot of conversions on these and they're selling for like $50,000. At the time, I messaged the guy, I asked him if it was available. He said, yes, it was. He wanted $3,000. I drove up to get it. I get there and then he's like, I'm tired of people on Facebook asking me if it's available, not showing up. You're the last person, you get it for free. So I was like, are you sure you don't want any money? I'll give you what you want for it because I will be able to make the money back. He's like, no, I've had multiple problems with this diesel van. He had a mechanic come out to bulletproof it. The guy took it all the way apart, and that's pretty much where it sat until I picked it up. So I loaded it on my trailer, drove 3 hours home, assessed the situation. It needed quite a bit of work. Most of the parts were there. I started to put everything together, clean a lot of stuff up because it had been sitting for quite a while, got everything tip-top. She ran great. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll see what somebody will trade me for this diesel van. So this guy messaged me for this Jeep Cherokee. It actually looked really good and I thought it wasn't gonna be that big of a project. So I told the guy, yeah, I'll trade him. I had the ambulance for probably a month at that point and it was really big. It was taking up a lot of space and I didn't really want to have to deal with it anymore because I didn't want to have to convert it myself. So I ended up trading him the Jeep. He drove down, we traded, and that's where the problems started. So on the way home, the Jeep starts to overheat. I barely am able to limp her home with the heater on. Then I assessed the Jeep situation. I'm like, well, man, the guy said it ran perfect. It didn't have any issues, and it ended up overheating. So I ended up changing the water pump, doing a bunch of stuff to the cooling system. Luckily enough, it didn't have a blown head gasket, got all that taken care of, and actually drove it a few miles. And then the lift and the alignment was so sketchy going over bumps. Then I had to assess that situation. So I ended up figuring out the Pro Comp lift that was on it was completely shot. There was a bunch of issues with the mounting. It was all hacked together. So what I ended up doing was putting a brand new rough country lift on there, undercoating most of the Jeep with Raptor liner, replacing the rear leaf spring mounts, and getting everything back in tip-top shape. So it's safe to drive, got an alignment, and now she has been driving great. Have had no issues with her, but the one thing I have been wanting to do is to be able to take her up to the mountains and either bring some kayaks with me or paddle boards or a roof tent. And I haven't had the ability to do that. So today I have a roof rack and kayak mounts from Sunset Auto. If you are interested in the roof rack or the kayak mount from Sunset Auto's website, the link will be in the description. They also have a bunch of other upgrades for your vehicle. They have lighting, they have roof racks. Well, the first thing I'm going to install is the roof racks because, and I think these might be a little bit, hopefully they're not too long. So this is the threaded piece that goes in here, like so. And then this is going to go like so. You can see it rides in this track. Probably easier to do this outside of the track. So all you do is give it a few threads and line it up. Oh yeah, that was way easier. The last thing to install on the roof rack is the extruded aluminum caps. If you don't like the length of the aluminum, you could always cut it because these caps are going to hide everything and finish everything off. roof rack is installed on the Jeep, I would really just dedicate 30 minutes to the install because it is really straightforward, really easy. Everything goes together. There isn't very many parts, and it actually fit really, really nice along the gutters on the Jeep. I didn't think there was, I didn't have any issues, which I've never tried to install another roof rack, but it seems like it's really good quality. There isn't much to it. Some plastic end caps and extruded aluminum. Let's now install this kayak mount. There's 2 of them in a box. I believe there's 2 in the box. I hope there is. And hopefully it goes just as smooth. These little wing nuts right here, the recessed area where the threads are, you can see how far down it is. If you're using that roof rack, you're going to have to file this down quite a bit because the threads on the kayak mount isn't long enough for these to catch to tighten it down. So what I'm going to do now is file all 4 of these down so it will actually hold it down. Hopefully I don't go too far because I think there's a lip holding in that piece of or that nut in there. So I got home and I threw the paddleboard on the Jeep. I forgot how big this thing is. It's definitely takes a little bit of effort to get it up there. I really want to re-clear it because it has a few scratches, but if I'm going to use it, it's probably going to get scratched up even more. This side, you have to go around this side of the roof rack. And then on the strap, it's kind of weird. I've never seen a strap like this, but you just go underneath instead of going through a clasp. So it's just literally underneath and then through, and you can actually pull it nice and tight. So the paddleboard is nice and firmly on there. I was afraid before, but I think this is going to work out pretty well. The other side, you just go through this little clasp and then around the bar, and everything lines up really nice. And this piece of the clasp has a padding on it, so it's not going to scratch up. So it's not going to scratch up your kayak, which is mostly plastic, which doesn't matter. But this is a $6,000 paddleboard. It already has some scratches because obviously you're going to use it, but yeah, it'll kind of prevent that. So I'm actually pretty excited about this kayak slash paddleboard mount. Another thing is, if you're using this for a paddleboard, you're not going to have a mount for the oar, so you're just gonna have to throw it in your car. But besides that, I would recommend the roof rack and the kayak mount because everything worked out nice. It has these little paddings right here which work really good, and I think all in all it's a pretty good option, a really cheap option. And also, like I said before, I liked how these roof racks went together and clasp on. These were for a newer Jeep, but all the Jeeps use the same style gutter if you're trying to find something for like an X-Ray like that. I'm pretty excited that the roof rack and the kayak mount ended up working out. The strap was a little bit finicky. I was having some issues with it, really, issues figuring out which way it went, because usually they have a little loop that you go through and then you go through the clasp, so it allows it to build up some more tension and it's a little bit extra security, but that one didn't have that. So it seems like it's nice and firm. I don't think there's going to be any issues. That's a $6,000 paddleboard. I'm going to be using that kayak mount with my paddleboard. I don't think there's going to be any issues with the straps or anything. It also comes with 4 straps, so you can strap on 2 kayaks. But besides that, a link will be in the description if you're interested in the roof rack or the kayak mount. I can't wait to use these. I need to grab some oars for my paddleboard and my kayaks. I thought I was going to be, going today, but then, plans ended up changing. I didn't think the strap was going to work, and now it's a little bit too late to go. So maybe tomorrow, but I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.